Paul is like the ugly Jason of the Cheers crew.
Hey guys, you guys want to staple my nuts to my leg? I'll
Getting
do it.
attention. Yeah, I'll do it.
Damn, I would love some manwich right now, Steve. I'm high a manwich right now. I'm telling you, dude. And the dancing thing, I've never seen this episode and I knew about this.
Happened in the 90s.
In Boston,
Yeah. Go get in the car, go to the Boston Yard, Steve. But here's my thing. When I watch Cheers, right? It's all good. It's all fun and games. These people are hanging out at a bar. But I'm seeing a reality that maybe this was true in the 80s and the early 90s, where people are at a bar and it's like a lunchtime situation where like the bartender's ordering out and you're just happen to be day drinking at a bar and need to get something in your stomach because you're about to black out. And I saw that in Cheers and one we're about to discuss, but I'm wondering, like, is it almost tragic what we're seeing in Cheers? Like these people who are a barflies to an extent where they're eating more than one meal at the bar on a maybe daily basis. I mean, Norm has a literal imprint on one of the stools, Steve.
it is a daily basis. I think they're open on Sundays too. And I mean, if you think about it, it really is sad. Like that's the purpose of Frasier. They need a psychiatrist. All of them.
Yeah. What's the little fat bald guy's name?
Paul, I love Paul.
Paul. Yeah, Paul's like, and then there's that level of guy who's like the guy the barflies are looking down upon, but he's still there. You know, like it's, you could turn it tragic. It could go real Stephen King real quick, Steve.
Paul is like the ugly Jason of the Cheers crew.
Hey guys, you guys want to staple my nuts to my leg? I'll
Getting
do
attention. Yeah, I'll do it.
it. Hey, you want me to drink what's in that? That's piss. I don't give a shit.
You guys are great.
Paul, get out of here, man. Creep. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. It's like, yeah, Cheers, great show, comedy, a legendary sitcom or whatever you want to call it, that led to more greatness for a lot of people, including Kelsey. Shout out Kelsey. Shout out the new season of Frasier on Paramount Plus. This is not a paid ad. It's great.
It sounds like it.
It's great. I just have to shout it out. But, like I said, I watch it and I'm like, this is all funny. But if you just like look at it and take it out a little bit, go to the micro instead of the macro or whatever, whichever it is, I'm not that smart. It gets it's sad, Steve. It's not a reality I would want to be in. And even like somebody like a Fraser Crane, who's a certified doctor in a big city in the United States, and yet he's at a bar at least 15 like 20% of his day, and I feel like that's not healthy. You got to look inward, Frasier.
It has a payoff though. You never know who could stop by, man. Kevin McHale might drop by. Hell, even Alex Trebek. You never know, man.
Larry Bird shows up. All of a sudden, him and Cliff Clavin are in a fist fight over who has the best mustache.
Stranger things have happened at the bar in Boston.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I'm not hearing a lot of that, Steve. I mean, I guess Cliff has it, but what the fuck's going on in Beantown? Norm ain't fucking like, get out of here, you fucking quiz. Nobody's like that. It's not that quintessential early 90s Boston like meathead,
Sam Malone, he's there because he was a professional athlete. So he comes from wherever. Woody, he's like a bumpkin from, I think, Indiana. Norm, you're right. I think he should have somewhat of an accent considering he's one of the
blue collar worker in Boston. I mean, even if he's not from there, you're going to get that. It gets punched into you. Or out of you. Like when I moved to Ohio, all my Pennsylvania calling pop soda or whatever it is, whichever it was that was weird, it just gets beaten out of you, Steve. But I'm not here. I'm in this little bar where it's almost like a hotel. It's like a hostel, Steve.
You would think eventually it'd rub off on you.
I mean, definitely. If you're living in Boston, it's like Madonna. She went and lived in England. All of a sudden, she had a fucking accent. You just
Like,
can't help it.
bitch, you from Detroit.
I saw a video where Lindsay Lohan, she was in some Middle Eastern country. She had like the Middle Eastern accent. It was Lindsay Lohan, Steve.
They
Just,
probably pay her to do some devious lingo there in the Middle East.
I mean, the video was wild, dude. She thought kids were being like kidnapped, so she took them and she like was like taking them to the authorities. But then the people that she took them from came and confronted her, and it was the kids' parents. She's like, "No, Allah is like this is you're taking these kids," and it's Lindsay Lohan.
She just
It's
wants some
wild.
attention, man. Hey, Lindsay, call me.
Yeah, give Steve a call. You could save us all. You know,
Because I love
come
them
back.
redheads.
I mean, dude, Lindsay Lohan back in them days. I don't know what she's like now. I'm sure she's still beautiful. Herbie the Love Bug days though. Mean Girls days.
Oh, yeah.
Yummy yum yum yums. This is fucked up, Steve. Lindsay
And
doesn't deserve this.
she deserves all of this. But October 10th is World Mental Health Day. So, Matt,
Nice.
I have to ask, what is your favorite of the mental health is?
What the fuck?
What is your favorite?
What is my
What's your what's your favorite mental illness?
Oh, what's my favorite mental illness?
I'm a
Man,
schizo guy myself.
schizo. I
Yeah,
like a nice just sexaholic. I feel like that's got to be one of the more fun addictions. So I'm gonna go sexaholic just to be a bro about it. You know,
sexaholic, some Val Venus action.
definitely. You know, little Rick Rude in the '80s on a bender, couple of toots, couple of kaboots.
Some Dirk Diggler.
Hell yeah. We're about to talk about him too. God bless. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's the way they want us to celebrate mental health month or whatever, awareness month. But yeah, shout out to all those sexaholics, Steve.
They should do a Captain Planet for something like this. Schizo, Tourette's.
I'm so itchy.
With your mental illnesses combined, I
Who
am
would it
toxic.
be, Stu? Who would it be though? You know, like what does Captain Mental Health look like?
Kanye. Hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Cypress Hill tapes and your Sugar Hill DVDs, because I'm having trouble trying to sleep. Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. I'm counting sheep, but running out. Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. As time ticks by, still I try. No rest for cross tops in my mind. On my own, here we go. Dun-dun,
Dead it. Dead it.
dun-dun,
Dead it.
dun-dun,
Dead it.
dun-dun,
Dead it.
dun-dun,
Dead it.
dun-dun.
When did you stop liking Green Day? You know, like I used to be a goddamn dookie-aholic. Pause.
Pause. Ooh.
Pow.
Ooh.
Pow.
Ooh,
Shade.
that was tawdry. I would say probably after this album. When did Nimrod come out? Because Nimrod, it had some joints. But yeah, it'd probably be after Insomniac. And then like they did American Idiot and they had a resurgence, but like I kind of checked out by then. This was mid 2000s.
Yeah, I remember that coming out. It was a big thing. I think they even had like a Broadway show or some kind of like theater thing that they were doing with that. But yeah, it's just crazy. In my world, they were such a huge thing. Like they were one of my transfers from tape to CD that I had to get because I got that disc man, but it's like this Dookie tape won't play in this, so I got to get the new shit so I can listen to it still on these car trips. So, yeah, dude, shout out Green Day, dude. I need to go back and listen to them. I tried Mystikal out because we have that talking about him, but god damn, should have just went Green Day.
Should have went green. Well, today, my friend, we're talking all things 1010 in the 90s. Starting off in 1991, Cheers is airing season 10, episode 4, The Norm Who Came to Dinner. Lilith and Frasier must deal with Norm as a house guest when he is injured painting their living room. Hilarity ensues.
I gotta say, I always, as we've been watching, and I think even as a child, I wondered what Norm did as a profession, and now I know. This guy's painting houses, Steve. So there you go. Fat man can paint a wall. Get up
And
on that ladder.
we start the episode off with the cold open. Frasier, he comes in, he's Nike from head to toe. And he said he's
Slick.
changing. Yeah, he's slick, man, and he's changing his ways. And he's saying to the fellas, "I'm going to take you with me. A new change of pace. I was letting myself go going to this place every day, 32 ounce after 32 ounce, shot after shot. I got man breasticles."
I have so much bad pussy in this bathroom back here. And I gotta say, he is suited and booted out, Steve. He's got it all. He's got the new fit on, and it's looking right. But going at Norm and Cliff and saying, "Hey guys, signed you up for some health classes," I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe just start with like a fucking one of those workout videos or something. Just get them started. It seems like a big jump.
give me a Jane Fonda tape or a Suzanne Summers or something, or
Yeah.
just bring Suzanne Summers. And to top that off, I'm actually going to bring the physical trainer to the bar. And Norm was just like, "Well, I don't know about that, man. We tried that before." And he was like, "Well, how did that work out?" "Well, I don't know. Ask him." Paul.
He's smoking a fucking butt. Dude, Paul, I bet Paul smangs Steve. I bet Paul has some just grody sex. I'm telling you right now, dude.
I'm sure he smashed Carlo when nobody was around.
He'll eat the pussy. He'll eat the butt. He'll eat any motherfucking thing. Yeah. But you know what? Frasier tried it. But I love, and this again proves the tragedy of Cheers, Steve. He was once a fit man. And then because of his relationship with Cheers, it just degraded his soul and his body. But not that wallet, because he's got about $300 worth of Nike gear on, Steve, and he's looking tight. So
Is that Phil Knight?
yeah, dude. Don't fucking don't get in a 5K with Frasier because he's zooming past your ass. But that's it. Then we get that classic intro. It's the gift that keeps on giving with this.
I don't know of any other theme song, maybe outside of Fresh Prince, where people can recite the lyrics like men, women, young, old, doesn't matter, whatever generation. It's just so recognizable across the map, man.
Yeah, it's weird. Like also people like so young, like even us, we were right on the cusp. We still got to watch this show, but I mean, people are going to be singing this thing until the world ends. It's that catchy, and I love the like weird like classic bar images from like colonial American times or whatever it is. But hell yeah, dude, it's such like it's that intro. There's only a couple that you can put up in that echelon of intro songs, but it's there. It has to be.
Very Charlie Chaplin-esque. I don't know. When we come back to the bar, they're ordering food, and I don't think out of all the episodes I've seen, food ever being served at this place.
Because they don't have a kitchen, Steve. These barflies are ordering out. You got to leave at the bar to get some food. They got to get it back here. So they can't drive. They're 5 deep already,
Yeah. So that's what it was. They had to order out for the food to get there. And then, wow.
You want some fucking food cooked by Woody, Steve? The amount of fucking salmonella.
Maybe not Woody, but Carla looked like she can hook up some casserole. I don't know.
She could definitely like fuck up at least like a nice sandwich of some kind, cut
some
the crust
sloppy Joe.
Yeah, hell, she is definitely a sloppy Joe type of chick for sure.
She could stir the fuck out some sloppy
Joe. Damn, I would love some manwich right now, Steve. I'm high a manwich right now. I'm telling you, dude, that shit is tasty. But again, these people are ordering food at a bar. It can't even be noon. But, Norm, he's watching his cholesterol, so he only wants a baked potato. Throw a little cheese on it, throw a little butter on it, and then put a little extra cheese on top of the sour cream so it doesn't melt. And then throw just a little bacon on top, too, because he's watching himself.
Watching his
You know,
carbs.
yeah. And he knows, and this is also a tragedy. He knows what Cliff's gonna order. He knows it because this motherfucker always picks a menu up, tries to go through it to find something new, but always ends up with these damn wingdings, Steve. These
Eh,
wingdings.
I think I have Windings.
Then Rebecca and Carla are having a little chat. And Rebecca, is she pregnant or is she just
Her
like,
clock is ticking.
oh,
So,
okay, got it.
she's at that age where it's like now or never. And her and Carla, they're making a side bet because she asked Carla, like, do you think I'll make a good mother? And she says a hard no. Nope.
Hell no. Yeah, leave it at that. And she's like, what do you mean? And Carla's like, what exactly what I said, you dumb bitch. Listen.
I don't even think you can raise an egg, let alone a baby. It's like, oh, you want to bet? All right, $5 that you can still have this egg by the end of Friday night. All right, deal. As soon as she makes that deal, the egg just fumbles out of her hand. It's like, all right, so she takes another one. It's like, all right, and it starts
Mulligan.
now.
I mean, I'd want that 5 though. I'd be like, I told you. I mean, we could start again, double or nothing, but you already fucked the egg up. But you know, I love that. I love Carla. That's who I wish I could be. Somebody who could just sell just honest to God truth right to somebody's face, regardless of the consequences.
With about 8 kids.
Fuck it. I mean, that's why she's miserable, Steve. And that misery is what keeps her strong enough to take care of those kids, you know? It's those kids that have to deal with that. But, you know, she's a Stonewall. This woman could lead. She's like John Connor almost. She could lead us through the termination against T1000s. I'm
She's
telling
like
you.
John and Sarah.
Yeah, exactly. She's doing pull-ups on the bar behind, you know, in the back, hitting. There's a big fucking side of beef back there that they can't serve, but she's just back there just fucking,
Just for spawn.
fucking Frasier. Yeah. Shut up. Yeah.
And in comes Lilith. She's just so stern. Frasier
Yeah.
would like to know if you could paint our living room today.
And Norm's like, I got a busy schedule here, so I don't know if I could today. You know, they have some reason that they need it. And you know, Norm, he's like, I'll tell you what, 500. They're like, that's a little high. I don't know. He's like, I'll tell you what, 200, and you pay for food and drinks. And then Fraser's like, I'll pay the 500 because that food bill, we know we're gonna go and hit that mark real quick.
Yeah.
You know?
I already know how you eat, Norm. We're at the Cranes now, and Norm's painting the wall. Frasier, he's just trying to strike up trivial conversation. So, like those are different rollers, huh? Like, where did they come from? Where did you get those from? And he's just like trying to do his job.
Yeah, he wants to talk shop, but he has no idea how to. He's asking childish questions and shit.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, what's, you know, like, is it matter like this? And then he sees Norm like painting something. He's like, you know, I don't want to like interject or step on your toes, but I saw on HGTV you're supposed to paint vertically and not do horizontal strokes. So you might want to correct that. And Norm's like, dude, I'm painting your fucking wall. It looks great, you know, that whole kind of thing. And then Norm, being the consummate professional he is like, shit, you know, I can't reach that spot up there. So I'm going to go home. Give me 15. I'm going to go take a quick shit and get a bigger ladder. Give me 30 because of the shit. It's going to be a while. And then I'll be back to finish that spot. I just got to get this other ladder. And Fraser's like, hey, why are you being a bitch?
Yeah.
You can step on, you can get on this ladder, get up to the top. If you get on that top step, you're going to be able to reach just fine, you fucking bitch. This is crazy. This psychiatrist is acting like, he doesn't say it like that, but I'm like, dude, you're an adult psychiatrist. Like, this is crazy. But Norm's like, look, dude, I know you don't know about like hardware and stuff, but if you look on that ladder, you're not supposed to go above that mark because it's unstable. Fisher's like, you're stupid. Watch this. Watch this, pussy. Gets the roller, gets on the top thing, and of course he falls over because you're not supposed to, Steve. It's right there.
Immediately. Okay. Like as soon as he steps up, he falls on Norm. just topples him.
I mean, it's a straight WWE move almost, Steve. This is a ladder match, and Norm takes a
Dude,
straight shot to the
dude,
chops.
Norm fell like Peter Griffith. You know how he's just like one arm's behind his back, and he's just like, yeah, yeah.
So that's it. You know, workman's comp could be an issue, but Frasier's got Norm on the couch, but he can't move. He injured his back. He's all fucked up. So Frasier agrees to take care of him, and also Lilith, because Frasier points out, like, look, Vera's out of town. Vera being Norm's love, she's out of town. We can't just let this guy go to an empty house. I mean, this guy could fall over, and it's a whole thing. We got a dead body on our hands.
So basically, you want your little friend to spend the night.
Yay! It's married life, Steve. You got to ask permission for everything. So Norm's on the couch. He's the guy on the couch now, Steve. But, as it can happen sometimes, we're going to see people get a little bit, they want a lot when they're guests,
I like how Frasier's like, "Hey, Norm, tell her you want to watch television."
So we come back to the bar, and Woody is giving Cliff Clavin. I think he's like quizzing him on what the Dewey Decimal number is of a book in the library.
Yeah, which is useless, by the way.
That's like autistic quizzings. That's what you do to a Rain Man type situation. But Cliff might be Rain Man, Steve. We might have just figured it out.
Got to go to the bar. Go to the bar.
Got to get a drink. Got to get a drink. Dewey Decimal, Norm, Wingdings. And then we cut back to Frasier's, and I guess this is 2 days later, I believe. I mean, Norm's been in traction for quite some time.
Norm is comfortable, and he calls the bar from the couch, actually. And Sam tells the rest of the guys, Norm, he fell down trying to paint the wall, and yeah, he's just letting us know that's where he's at.
I love that. I better call the bar so they don't get worried.
Yeah. And Paul's like, it's too bad it takes something horrible to make us appreciate him. And Cliff's just like, yeah, well, who wants to flip for a stool?
Damn, Cliff. Norm, though, like you said, he's very comfortable. He's getting beers. He's getting fucking, food brought to him. This is a pretty cushy gig he's got.
Yeah, treating him like a king.
Oh, yeah, dude. But Lilith's starting to get a little agitated. He's asking a lot. He's like, hey, honey. He's got like that attitude. He's like, hey, honey, how long does it take for a guy to get a sandwich over here? Chop, chop.
Yeah, tits. And, he has a mano, a womano with Lilith, and he says, you and I are polar opposites. We're completely different. You're successful, intelligent. You got a husband, nice house. You have a baby. I just hang out with my nerdy friends at the bar. And I used to feel sorry for you.
You're one of the guys.
And then they get a knock on the door. He's like, oh, yeah, it's probably the pizza I ordered. I used your MasterCard. And it's Cliff. He stops by. And he still got some of his mail. And Lilith asks him, like, so what about your route? They can wait.
Yeah. He was in the neighborhood, Steve, for no reason. They're like, why were you in the neighborhood? He's like, maybe ask less. Lilith is just like, what is going on here? Because now Norm and Cliff are sipping suds. They're fucking having a fun time. And it's becoming a little bit of a Cheers situation at Chez Frasier's, Steve. Club Frasier's turning it into a fucking dive bar.
And Lilith tells him, like, this isn't a tavern. This is my home. Do you see a bartender? Do you see any beer? And as she answers the knock on the door, it's Sam with a keg of beer.
I mean, dude.
Who does this?
How long are you gonna be here, dude? A couple, and it's like it's not one keg. I think it's a couple, Steve.
It's a couple. I think he had a keg and a mini keg on top of it.
Just in case. I mean, it's Norm, dude. He's fucking like that guy from the Man Show that could just fucking guzzle beers.
Ziggy zaggy, oi, oi, oi. And so like Sam's pouring beers. They're watching the game, and then Paul and Phil, they show up with bags of ice, and Frasier, he's with the festivities, man. So he comes out with the wingdings. It's like, I got the wingding. Lilith is pissed though. She was like, Frasier, I need to talk to you for one moment in the kitchen. For 1 second, they're in there, comes right back out, shirt full of wingding sauce.
Hook me up with some of those wingdings, though, Steve. Love me some of those right now. But this whole thing, I bet I'd be like, if I was Norm, I'd be like, hey guys, either I get some more wingdings and beer, and maybe you want to unbutton one of those buttons, Lilith, or I could go to a lawyer and maybe talk workman's comp suit. It's your choice, I'd start going litigious on them, and just keep this party rolling, Steve.
And Frasier's aware of this. That's why he feels this deep sense of regret and remorse that he caused some turmoil to his buddy. So now they're in the bed and Lilith can't sleep. And she wakes Frasier up, telling him it's 1 a.m. They're still partying downstairs. Frasier's like, well, let them do their thing.
It's only gonna be a couple more days, baby. And
But
she's like, do you want to see me naked in the 90s? Because if you don't kick these people out, not a nipples to be had. And at this point, I'd have to. I mean, you're married. You got to, Steve. You guys got to get out. And if these are bros, be like, bros, I got to get laid at some point. We got to go. Okay? Be a bro here.
And Frasier goes downstairs and you hear him say, like, enough is enough. And then, like, 2 seconds after that, the music continues. So Lilith, she goes down there and you see Frasier on the piano.
Honey, I tried, but they said no. And one of them's like, he didn't say anything. And he's like, shut the fuck up, dude. But Lilith storms out because she's like, where the fuck is Norm at? We got all these people in our house. Where's Norm at? And they're like, actually, I think he went to Cheers. He said he was feeling better. They're like, what the fuck, dude?
He's at the bar.
Son of a bitch. So she's gone, Steve. Lilith's out. Everyone else is hanging out at Club Frasier, which looks like a good hang. I got to be honest. They got free drinks and they got wingdings on deck. I didn't see anybody putting up any money. So,
well, Rebecca's got $5 extra because she won her little side bet with Carla.
Yeah, but it wasn't just that side bet, Steve, because Carla's like, oh, here's your money. And she's like, oh, why do you have this gigantic knot in your pocket? She's like, actually, I bet the guys that I could convince you to carry an egg around for a few days, and I won the bets. And she's like, wait, what the fuck? She's like, take your money, okay? Learn from the best.
Yeah, and I didn't catch. There was like another side bet that Woody had with Carla after Rebecca left. It's something about her carrying a watermelon.
Yeah, because she was like, she's, obviously she's conned Rebecca. So at some point she's like, yeah, and it's not like I could ever convince you to put a watermelon between your legs and walk across the room with it. I mean, you wouldn't do something like that. And Rebecca's like, of course not. So she's like, that's what I thought. And then Woody comes up and he's like, here's your money. I thought you would do it.
Yeah. And Lilith storms in. She sees Norm at his usual spot and she beelines straight to him and says, Norm, have you ever had a dog with fleas? And then even after you got rid of the fleas, your house was still infested? What are you trying to get to?
Woody's had some fleas.
Yeah.
Golf ball size fleas. And then Norm's like, golf ball size? Like, Lois like, pay attention to me here. You got to get out. You're rude. This, that, and the other. And Norm's like, Lilith, come on. Let me buy you a drink. You seem a little uptight. This is 90s guy behavior too. Like, honey, calm down. You're a little uptight. Come sit down. He even offers his coveted seat at the bar, Steve. It's the corner seat.
Because he knew he was wrong. They open up their home to him, and then he got so comfortable he invited the crew over, and he didn't even have the decency in himself to tell them of his departure.
I mean, shit. I had to go, Steve. It's like, this place, it's home. It's like Olive Garden. So I had to get back here. But they're talking, and as they're talking, Lilith, she's also a mental health professional. And she realizes that, she can become a little bit of a wet blanket sometimes. She's not the fun party girl she used to be at some point in her life. She ruins the party. So she feels bad. But now that she is realize this. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna go home and fucking party my fucking ass off. I'm gonna make a cool game. We're gonna play Jenga. I'm gonna organize the people by alphabet, whatever. It's gonna be a hoot. It
Some
doesn't sound
Pictionary.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nerd fun, but you know she's trying, and it's all because Norm bought her a scotch, taught her about the ways of being a fucking lush. That's how you get rid of your problems. Sit down
Roots
at the bar, take a little hard liquor to the chops, and feel a little bit better about your life for a couple hours.
take a breather. And after Norm hears all this dorky shit, he calls Frasier immediately. He's like, "Hey, Frasier, is Norm. Get out of the house while you still can."
She's about to be back. You got to run, bud. But I love this, Steve. This is what the greatness. This is what led to the greatness that is Frasier. That still is Frasier. We're in 2024, and the Frasier dog and Lilith are still in full effect.
He's been doing this same character for 4 decades, man. It's wild.
He's been doing this.
Like, a little fun fact about this episode, their son, he was playing fireman with the ketchup and mustard on the walls. And apparently in this reboot of Frasier, the son, Frederick, has grown up to be a firefighter.
Yes,
So
he did. Hell yeah. I got to tell you, dude, it's, you know, it's a sitcom. It's Frasier. And it's within the guidelines of the now, like, way people write stuff. But I have to say, for a reboot and something that they're just trying to keep going with, like, you know, the original characters, they're doing a great job. Roz has been on it already. I think Daphne's gonna be on this. You know, Frederick's mom, Niles' wife, Frasier's former house guest, caretaker for his father, and they're killing it, dude. And I think that something I was like, this is gonna be dog shit. It's not gonna be good, and they've proven me wrong. So, congratulations, Paramount Plus. You did one thing right.
1995, Green Day releases their album Insomniac. And this is the one that has Brain Stew. This is the first song I learned how to do on guitar because it's pretty simple. Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun.
That's awesome. You did that though. That was a dream of mine, like to figure some of these like licks out, and I never could pick up guitar. I could play this on trumpet, Steve, for sure. I could play the notes, but
That's still
it's not,
impressive,
it's not the same. But yeah, I mean, we could have been in a ska band together, you know.
man. Shout out to the Thrift Store All Stars. And like this album, man, outside of Brain Stew, nothing really stuck with me. The other releases were stuck with me, no pun intended, and Geek Stink Breath.
I'm counting cheap, but running out.
Mm,
I
mm, mm.
Yeah, I think Jaded. I remember Walking Contradiction. I remember for sure. Um, But the best part about this album is what you just said. That fact about you learning to play it. I love that it's in the history of the Steve G Chronicles. That's fantastic.
And on that same day, No Doubt releases their most successful album, Tragic Kingdom. Don't speak. I know what you're thinking.
I was hard to admit it as a dude, a young dude in the 90s, a young go hard in the 90s, but love No Doubt. One of the first CDs I bought definitely was in that
Really?
first little booklet I had. And as far as like female vocalists and like pop stars, Gwen Stefani is one of the tops to me because she did this, and then she got into that phase where she was doing like sort of dancey type shit, where she had like that Pharrell song or like the Neptunes beat song. She got me
Oh,
feeling hella good, so let me keep on
that corner
dancing.
that corner bar in Bowling Green played the hell out. It's bananas. 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 Oh my goodness! Like that
But
was a good song until I just got beat over the head with it. All of
it's like
2004.
Eminem for me with Doherty, Steve. There's just some songs where it's like it's good, and if you just heard it once in a while, you love it. But then when it's used as like the CIA mental torture, where it's just repeated over and over again at louder volumes, you're like, I can't do this anymore.
Stop it. And like this album, Tragic Kingdom, is kind of like Sugar Ray is to me. Like this was the album where they kind of figured out how to go mainstream and not completely abandon their roots, because you still got some horns, got some ska. It's kind of got some punkish riffs, but at the same time, it has a pop feel. And this was them breaking out into the mainstream, man. Obviously, the most successful album they've released, man. I believe it's gone multiple platinum.
Spiderwebs is a dope ass song on this too. That song is sick as hell. Man,
Spiderwebs.
oh, how many of these were like legit hits, like on the charts? Because of the singles off of this album, it's crazy. It's bananas, Steve.
Just a Girl.
Spiderwebs, it had to have been one of the biggest ones. So
Don't
leave a
Speak.
message and I'll call you back.
Hey You.
No time dude, Gwen Stefani. Also, I had like a little. Everybody said she was like. Remember the rumor she was a guy?
I don't remember that rumor at
That was a
all.
rumor in Perrysburg. That was a rumor. But I was like, this chick is hot. Like every time I saw the video where she was doing like push-ups and stuff, I was like, man, this chick is fucking a little sweaty, but she's working, Steve.
Yeah, she could sweat all she wants. And I like that little pouty. She kind of has this pouty thing that she
Yeah.
does when she sings.
In the world. Yeah, dude. She definitely
Uh,
has that upspeak, but Gwen Stefani, no doubt in general, dude. Cool looking group of people, and it wasn't necessarily what I would consider like my music, especially at that time, but I mean, it was in my fucking catalog.
and on that same day in 95, Mystikal releases Mind of Mystikal. It's a re-release of his debut album. And this is the one with Here I Go, Here I Go.
I
What you,
hate
what
it.
you gonna do? You
I'm
hated
not a
that song?
fan, Steve. I'm not a fan of Mystical in general. I got to be honest. It
Um,
it's just not. There was like a couple of songs. There's one that Pharrell was on, and it was because Pharrell was on. It was like a Star Trek beat, but Mystical in general, Steve. This album, I was listening to it while I was working out. It just doesn't hit. I don't
well,
like it. I don't like being yelled at when I'm listening to music. Okay.
I feel that. And I don't like the person. He has a problem putting his hands on the ladies, and we don't condone that here. It happened in the 90s.
Absolutely
And
not.
yeah, he's a repeat offender. I think he had some I don't want to say that. Nah, but he did have some abuse allegations. And that actually it's not even allegations. He's been to jail before
Yeah,
a couple of
I
times.
think it was like actually on a legitimate claim. But I do have to say one like more uplift, not uplifting, but just funny fact. If you look at the cover of this album, it looks like he's like making the tough kid, like a kid's tough guy face. Like he looks like he's like an 8-year-old kid making a tough face.
Yeah, I don't want to test his gangster though, even though I
No,
don't.
I mean
Yeah,
he could definitely be my ass, but I'm just saying, Mystical. You know what? Everybody has their own taste, and this Mystical, a feature, I'll take a full
yeah.
Mystical song. Like I put Smoke Some on, and I was like, of course I'm gonna like this.
Still smoking.
I'm sorry, Steve. I got to go a little bit negative on this, but Mystical, you had your time and place, and then some other things happened, so it is what it is. You know.
There you go. And also in 95, Insane Clown Posse releases Riddle Box.
Yeah, I thought this was the one because I bought one ICP album in the 90s, but I think it was the one after this.
Great Malenko.
Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Great. Malenko.
Malenko. And it's
Yeah.
always, what was that school where the people picked up a trade? Like you had the option to
Owens.
stay in Perrysburg. Was
Oh,
it Owens?
no. No,
Penta?
it was
I thought it was Penta.
Penta. That's what it was. Yeah. Because
Eh,
there was a really unsavory word that they called people that went there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some.
Man, if you can think of it, please tell me. But dude, it's always the Penta students that were recommending ICP to me, because I was the token black guy in Perrysburg. So, of course, I like rap. Like, man, bro, dude, you should check out Insane Clown Posse, bro. Great Malenko, Riddle Box, blah, blah, blah. It was like, nah, man, it's like just
I'm
because of
good.
the person, the messenger, I'm not going to listen to Insane Clown Posse. And then when I listen to Riddle Box, I thankful that I'd never listened to Insane Clown Posse. I said in a previous episode that I wanted to be a juggalo, but that was just off the pure respect for the ICP's business acumen. Music wise, they fucking blow.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I don't think
And
anybody's arguing that. It's just it's
whoa,
a cultural thing at some point. It's like they did what Trump did a long time ago. They found white trash, some kind of white trash thing that just tweaks that little nerve for people, and people just love it. I mean,
like I said,
they got it, Steve. They have a whole festival.
I told you it was the Penta crew. It was always the Penta crew that was hitting me up. So yeah, they did. They totally found their market. I
Also, a funny story from it wasn't really childhood, but I think we were actually in college when this happened. But there was a CD store in the Woodland Mall in Bowling Green, and ICP did a live like appearance at it. And
wow.
from what I heard and what I remember, they destroyed the interior of the store by spraying Fago everywhere. And I think that's cool. And here's another thing I loved because they always would go on the Howard Stern show, and that was always a fun time too.
Yeah.
You know,
Like the
but
actual guys, I think they're cool. Like I like how they cussed out Sharon Osbourne on Howard Stern that one time and
yeah,
just kind of put her in her place because she's a piece of shit.
the bigger one that with blonde hair, he was recently on like it was some comedy festival or like live comedy show on mushrooms, like on stage. And I think Roseanne was actually on stage. It was like this crazy configuration of personalities. But yeah, I'm not going to pop it in to listen to on a road trip.
Yeah.
But if I see Violent J or Shaggy Two Dope just in the streets, I'm definitely being showing a little bit of respect.
Yeah. Like
You
a
know,
vintage interview. I'll check that out on YouTube. But the actual music, hard pass. That following year, 1996, Seinfeld is airing season 8, episode 4, The Little Kicks. Elaine displays her embarrassing dancing skills. Jerry gets involved in bootleg filmmaking. And George acts like a bad boy to woo Elaine's employee. Hilarity ensues.
yes, this is I mean, like I told you before. I think before we started recording, doing this show with you has definitely given me appreciation for some shows that I didn't appreciate in the '90s. Quantum Leap, for example. A Quantum Leap's thrown in there, but Seinfeld specifically,
Yeah.
this show does not make a bad episode of TV. It
The,
doesn't. I
the
mean,
ones we've covered, yeah.
it's insane. This is hilarious. And the dancing thing, I've never seen this episode and I knew about this. The whole crazy seizure dancing. I
It's
mean,
dude, and that's the thing about the 90s, bro. Like, same thing with me. Like, there are certain aspects of this show that I was aware of before I like actually sat down and watched it, like everything on Hulu one time. And you don't have that in today's shows where somebody can make a reference to something like Elaine's dancing or Festivus for the rest of us. Like, there's nothing that just stands out in any of today's television programming.
no, I mean, there's no, and I think it's a combination of things. The just so many options that nobody's watching one specific thing. There's very few shows that the world's watching. I think
Yeah.
the last time I remember that was maybe like when Lost was going on or something like that. Like where people were regularly like, everyone was communicating about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But this episode, I mean, it's amazing from front to back. At the ending of it, I almost shit myself watching it. I wasn't even expecting it. So this shout out to everyone involved because like I said, I didn't appreciate this. And this is the beauty of doing the show with you is that now I get to watch this and it's like, damn, this this is amazing. I gotta watch all of it.
And we start this episode off with Jerry talking to Kramer about what's the safer side of the sidewalk.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the logic, pretty sound. I think Kramer's the one that says he'd rather take an AC unit falling on him than getting like hit by a car.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree but in the same way, like I think Jerry's like a couple or no, because Kramer says he'd rather get hit by a car. He's like a couple of some hip surgery, a couple of bolts, you're good as new. If I get hit by an AC, it's donezo. And you're right about that. But, maybe just have a nice, healthy awareness of your surroundings, Steve. I think that's the best answer to that question.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Kramer's ever really aware of his surroundings. Elaine, she's got some new fingernail paint. She's having a party for her employees, and George overhears this. She doesn't want George to be there.
No, it's going to fuck the vibe up. But George gets that invite, Steve. She's like, whatever, you can show up. So George shows up and immediately fucks the vibe up. He's hogging all the quesadillas. As he's getting like the 8th quesadilla off of this chick's platter, he sees Anna, who I believe is one of Elaine's employees, obviously.
Yeah.
And she's like, ugh, what the fuck? And she seems a little bit put off by him. And she just walks away, Steve. Blatant disrespect. But I mean, he still has a plate full of delicious quesadillas. So,
Well, she walks away after he introduces himself. He's like, "Yeah, I'm George. I'm a friend of Elaine Bennis." She's like, "Oh."
and then the music starts, Steve. And Elaine's like, guys, who's gonna dance? Let's dance. I'll get it. I'll get the party started. And then it gets, almost, I would get a belt out to possibly help her not swallow her tongue because I'd assume she's having some kind of a seizure, Steve. It's pretty erratic.
And then she loses all of her sexiness when she hits that dance floor.
It's tough, but everyone's watching, Steve. Everyone's like, yeah, it's a universal response to it. It's disgust.
Did you see the brother standing behind her? It was just this look of disbelief, like, oh.
Is she trying to do that? Is she okay? That's what I'm saying. I'd have a belt like, don't let her swallow her tongue. Get her down.
Man, it went from a look of disbelief to a look of being pissed, just like, where the fuck y'all got me at?
Boo. He just starts booing. But then we cut to Jerry's. Jerry's got 2 tickets to the hottest ticket in town, Death Blow.
Death Blow.
Sounds dope, Steve. I'd definitely be in attendance. He had to go through a lot to get those ticks. But Kramer's like, look, dude, I got a buddy. Can you give me one more? Because he would love to see this movie. He's a huge fan. He's a buddy of mine. Come on. So Jerry's like, all right, fine. I'll get 3 tickets to this shit. And I think George comes through. Yeah. And Jerry's like, so how was Elaine's party last night?
It was entertaining, to say the least. What happened? Well, have you ever seen Elaine dance? She danced? It's like a full body dry heave set to music.
And he saw this 5 years ago, Steve. And when he saw it, Jerry did like the Homer meme where he was like, all right, I'm out.
That shit was hilarious too, because Jerry's look is just like, what the what the fuck is going on?
It's like what my face would be if you walked in on like a murder scene where you're like, no. It's the gateway to hell, Steve, is really what it is. So
yeah.
She made a fool of herself, but Elaine calls Jerry. And she's even aware of some kind of vibe thing going on. She's like, it's weird. Like ever since my party last night, just seems like I've lost the respect of my squad in some way. I don't know what I did.
I bet it was George. I knew it. I shouldn't have invited him to that party,
motherfucker.
And Jerry's like, Elaine, it's not George. If it's not, then Jerry, then what is it?
Well, it has to be George, Steve. So she hangs the fucking phone up. And Anna's in the room, the lady that cold shouldered George at the party last night. And she's like, did you meet that guy, George? And Anna's like, yeah, he seemed fine. He was fine. She's like, no, this guy is a bad news. He's a bad guy. Everything he does. Harmful. Yeah, it's the opposite of being a wingman, Steve. She just downgrades George into just nothing. But Anna's like, if my boss doesn't like this guy, I think I do. So now that gets her all aflutter. And, at some point she gets on the phone. We cut to the diner. We hear that George actually got a call from Anna and she wants to go out. And it's really because of what Elaine said. So in a way, she was a good wingman, Steve.
In a way, yeah. And Jerry breaks it down for him. It's like, you're already a bad son. You've been a bad friend, bad nephew, bad grandson, bad sports fan. Well, all right, dude. Bad fiance, bad husband. Well, dude, all right. We get the picture.
Subpar lover. I mean, it's there. But it seems like Anna loves a bad boy, George. So be that bad boy.
I took my grandma car because I got mad at my mom, and then I saw and had my friend come in, and he smokes with cigarettes.
Be the bad boy.
Be AJ from the Backstreet Boys. Take a cane out. So now George's wheels are a turning, Steve. But now it's time for death blow. Kramer and Jerry are seated. They're waiting. And this is, I think, like a premiere. This is a big thing, Steve. In walks Kramer's buddy, Brody. And, I mean, Brody's an unsavory. He looks like Clint Howard almost. And he's packing a lot, Steve. He's got a bag of something.
This bootleg snack bag.
I don't know what it looks it looks almost muggy what he's got. He's muggy, and he's also kind of got a bad attitude. He's just kind of just a shit person. But it's death blow. So the movie starts. Jerry settles in to watch this fucking action extravaganza. But as soon as the movie starts, Brody takes his food and is like, gets that bootleg going, Steve, that old school.
He just breaks out the camera, and Jerry's just like, "What the hell is he doing?" Like, he does that all the time.
It's a job. It's his job.
He's making a copy so he could sell it on the street. Like Kramer just like brushes it off like it's no big deal. It's kind of a felony, but whatever.
Just what Brody does, dude. Chill the fuck out. So that's happening. As we cut back to George now, he's in the park, Steve. And he's in full bad boy mode.
Because it's fun. It's fun to do bad things.
And not the Diddy kind of bad boy. We're talking a good bad boy. He's got his dad's classic coupe. I forget what it is. It's parked he just parked it on the lawn in a park. Fuck parking. Ultimate bad boy. And he's just out there just kind of feeling the vibe, Steve. Waiting for Anna to show up. Just sort of he's almost ready to light up a cigarette just to like really put the cherry on top,
And when Anna shows up, she's like, I'm not supposed to be talking to you. Well, no one's putting a gun up to your head. You scared of me? No. Well, kinda.
But then Elaine comes by in a cab because she's got some kind of sixth sense about this, and she cock blocks, puts Anna in a cab, and she's like, George, I don't want you infecting my staff. I mean, what kind of friend is this?
You do not talk to him. Stay away from this man. Get in that car, young lady.
George. Anna's gushing, Steve. Anna's just moistening the seat covers in that cab. And then we come back to death blow. And, Brody, the snack bag's gone wrong on him in some way. And he's starting to get some stomach cramps. And he's like, I gotta shit, dude. I gotta go. I need somebody to help me out. Jerry, you got to get me this tape. You got to finish this bootleg for me. I got to sell this. And Jerry's like, what the fuck, dude? I'm not going to do this. And I think, I didn't see this. I think I was taking a note. Does Brody pull a gun on him in the theater?
He flashes it. Brody flashes out the Thule. And the first time I saw this episode, I'm like, whoa, dude, this escalated way too quick.
For a bootleg tape? Damn, Brody.
Like, man, the bootleg streets are not safe with Brody out here free.
Magnum 357. I mean, the dude's about to just set up shop on Jerry right in there. But Jerry's like, holy shit, dude. And does it, Steve. He has to. His life's on the line. He's got a bootleg for his life.
And then we cut to the next morning. Kramer comes up and he's like, so how was Death Blow? It's like, dude, I cannot do this. Brody showed up at my house this morning to pick up the tape. I'm scared out of my mind.
At 3 a.m.
Dude.
Yeah, and he's like, dude, what the fuck? But then Brody shows up, and apparently he's like, streets are talking, Jerry. You're the Steven Spielberg of this bootleg game. The angles, just the subtext you're putting in with the zooms and the whole thing, the pans and the zooms. It's fantastic. I gotta hire you.
I've never seen such great work. I got another project for you called Cry Cry Baby. I was going to get one of my other guys, but it's an artsy movie, and he doesn't have those kind of sensibilities.
He doesn't have the chops. Not like you, Jerry, but Jerry's like, I don't know, man. So that's all going down. I mean, he's intimidated. He agrees because the guy's got a tool. You know, he has a tool in the waistband, Steve. He also looks like he has some kind of like itchy like bugs on him. He just looks gross. Steve.
Really sweaty.
Yeah, he's got a greasiness to him, and that's appropriate because he's a greasy individual. But go cut to Elaine's job. She's in this hoity-toity office, and they're having a staff meeting, and Anna walks in rocking that very familiar Yankees jacket that I believe I saw George in a few scenes ago, and it's like obvious. She's like, "Where'd you get that jacket, Anna? Didn't I tell you who not to hang out with?" And I think Elaine's like, it seems like something a short, stocky, bald man. So she knows where it came from.
Yeah, that shit was hilarious.
And we cut to the movies again. And because Jerry's like didn't agree to do the bootlegging, he said, I'm not going to do it. So Kramer did it on his behalf. So Kramer's in a theater now bootlegging this French movie that, Brody wants. But he's hamming it up with the old guy next to him. He's just loving it, Steve.
He's moving the camera around. He's panning the crowd. He's talking.
You're gonna hear him chewing the popcorn, laughing. I mean, he's fucking it up. And the next we cut from this to Jerry, and Jerry's critiquing the bootleg. Like, I mean, the shots are all off.
What were you
Where's
thinking?
your head at? Where's your framing at? Who's the subjects, Kramer? And he's like, you're not going to give this to Brody. I'm not going to accept this to be presented on my behalf. This is not my work.
You know what? It's not even about the money, Kramer. I do this for the kids. I overheard a kid talk about how great the quality was on Death Blow, and that's what I do it for, Kramer.
I do it for that. I mean, somewhat the adulation, but when that kid smiles at me and tells me that bootleg was fantastic, that's really where it goes. That's where my heart's at. But he needs to get a storyboard going for this. He's got to get some extra stuff, So he's like, we're going to reshoot this. Elaine comes in sad because, she has no respect to it. She's a real Rodney Dangerfield at her job now. She's the boss, but her staff just seems to have just lost they're just talking behind her back, Steven. She just can't figure it out. She nipped George out.
She still thinks he's the reason, yeah.
But Kramer, she starts I think Jerry says something about dancing, but she starts dancing, right?
She starts dancing, and then Kramer cuts her off like, "Oh, girl, whoa, wait.
You stink,
you stink." And then he leaves, and then she kind of grills Jerry about it, like, "Wait, he's tripping, Jerry. My dancing doesn't stink, does it?"
You're beyond stink. You're a dead body. You're a fucking Sasquatch. You fucking stink, bitch. Yeah, how she dances worse than me, Steve. I mean, the confidence of this woman, but she is beautiful. So I think that's where you get that.
And as Jerry's leaving, Elaine's about to do a little dance routine. He's like, "No, not in my home.
You can't sully this place." So he's like, "I'm going to go take the trash out and maybe throw your dance moves in this bag so I can throw them out with it." But he leaves, and then Elaine just sees that camcorder that's sitting there, and I guess, she decides to make a little tape.
And then Elaine, she apologizes to George on the speakerphone with Anna right there. And she's just like, "You know what, George? I had you all wrong. I thought all of this was because of you. And, Anna, you need to know that George is actually a good person."
Shut up!
Yeah. Elaine, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, Elaine.
You're ruining this. Because Anna's losing moisture as she hears all this stuff. She's like, ugh, good guy. Ugh.
Yeah.
Nice, polite. Why would I want something like that when I could have a bad boy? This is really actually pretty accurate, Steve. I've
It's
run into this a
totally
lot in my life.
the accuracy of it all, Matt.
That's what women want, Steve. They want the bad boy. They want the guy who's, maybe gonna not be around or maybe even do some other crazy shit like Mystikal. That's what they really that's where they veer to. But back to the movie, back to the bootlegging, because entrepreneurs gotta be entrepreneuring. So Jerry's at the movie theater and Brody shows up, I think looking for this tape. And
Yeah.
Jerry's like, hey, look, man, the tape got fucked up.
I'm scouting.
I'm scouting right now, and I'm going to need a couple other things. I'm going to need a couple other guys. I'm going to need radios because I'm going to be needing to be in communication with these guys. And I'm going to need a bunch of cameras. We're going to do a multi-cam setup. Going to need a couple of lights, brought in, maybe a couple of Apple boxes, maybe a couple C stands to use some behind-the-scenes terminology. But regardless, I'll have this tape to you soon. And Brody's like, hey, dude, this isn't a fucking charity. I need a fucking tape. Don't make me remind you what I got in these jeans, Jerry.
And then Jerry just walks off like, that's it. I can't work like this. I'm out of this project.
Fuck this. And Brody's like, hey, I need that fucking tape. And, Kramer's a little, he's scared, Steve, but there is a tape out there with, maybe some subpar camera work that they still have in the mix. So I think that Kramer promises a tape, and that's the one that Brody's going to get.
We cut back to the diner, and George is griping, Jerry is griping about two completely different things. And then Kramer follows Jerry into the diner, and he's just pleading with him, like, Jerry, we have to figure out a way to get this tape. One of them says, like, I can't do this. This is dangerous.
Bootlegging business is too fickle. It's too dangerous now. It used to be all about just all about the quality, all about the art. Now it's just, money and drugs and people threatening me with guns in their waistbands.
And George hears this, and he's like, did you say dangerous? We cut to the next scene, and George is driving with Anna in the car. He's like, yeah, I'm a bootlegger, baby. Yeah.
What? You don't know? This is the most underground thing a guy can do in this city. I used to human traffic. Now I'm bootlegging French movies. Let's go.
Are these fiber pills?
Wait, is this a fucking lower back stabilizing pillow and a donut? Yeah. Maybe this is my dad's car. He doesn't have to say it, but so he's going to take Anna to bootleg, but then it must have gone bad because George got arrested. See, he really is a bad boy.
I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
They throw the tape in the VCR, and it's not even Cry Cry Baby. It's probably like a scene from the movie, and then you cut to Elaine dancing.
She's pop locking, Steve. She's dancing like Akeem the African Dream. She is a jive soul. Yeah, I mean, for real. So there's a tape, Steve, but I don't know if Brody's going to like the camera work or the alternate scene with a spastic Elaine, That's when we cut to the police station. So Anna's getting picked up. Elaine's there. George is in tears. Frank shows up. And George's dad is just like, my son's a bootlegger. And this is classic Frank Costanza, Steve. This is what I was talking about.
Elaine says, oh, he could never be a bootlegger. He doesn't have the mind.
She says something, but Frank's like, bitch, I'm going to fucking throw 5 across your chops. You think I don't give a fuck? And they do like a Rocky 3 ending where they're about to hit each other. I love that.
And then we cut to the next scene, and then Elaine, she's like just caressing her fists. It's like, well, he wrote the check, and I cashed it.
Credits also I love because they, her and Jerry they're walking down the street, and she's like, it's weird. This whole feeling I have, I just still have it. Jerry's like, yeah, I think everything's okay. But it turns out, Steve, that everybody has seen this tape. And everyone in New York City now is just talking behind Elaine Bettis's back about what can only, it's not so, her dancing is Soul Train-esque. Not at all. It's just terrible. It's terrifying. It's what you see somebody do when they're possessed by Satan himself. So She's not going to win Star Search for a dance routine, but Elaine, you know what? I'm not a good dancer either, and you're beautiful, so let's hang out.
You're at least a legend
You're
on Lower East Side.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But again, another fantastic episode. And we even get a little bit of Jerry Stiller. It only takes 5 seconds of this guy being in the show for it to be just ramp it up another notch.
You want some of me?
Again, I love it. Also, his outfits that he's always wearing, it's always this insane, like 70s crazy, just pressed velvet suits and shit. It's amazing.
70s dad. Man, another classic, man.
Hell
But
yeah.
that following year, 1997, Boogie Nights premieres in theaters. Back when sex was safe, pleasure was a business, and business was booming. An idealistic porn producer aspires to elevate his craft to an art when he discovers a hot young talent. Directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Mark Wahlberg, Julianne Moore, Burt Reynolds, Don Cheadle, John C. Reilly, William H. Macy, Heather Graham, Nicole Parker, and Philip Seymour Hoffman. R.I.P.
It's one of the best movies of the 90s. You and I definitely bonded watching this, and not for
Yes.
perverted reasons. I think this movie should be appreciated before for its quotability, for the amazing characters it has, and it has every emotion that you can possibly think of wrapped into one movie. And it might be about porno, but there's comedy, there's drama, there's horror, there's
There's action.
suspense, there's action. There's all there, and it's such a like I don't know. I've watched this with other people and they didn't appreciate it as much, and I don't understand it. But to me, this is one of the best films of the '90s, and this is definitely for like a Paul Thomas Anderson, the guy who directed this, uh, is one of the most widely respected directors. But I think for me, this is the greatest. This is his greatest movie that he could ever make. It's so good.
Agreed. From Cincinnati, Ohio, by the way.
It has the music. It's one of those movies also like a Forrest Gump that uses music to keep you in different because it covers different decades and stuff. So like
Yeah.
it has that going for it too, which I love in movies that do it correctly. You get a great performance from Burt Reynolds. You get lines that we've quoted on this show many times, like butter in my ass and lollipops in my mouth. Shit like that. Or just even like Jack tells me you have a great big cock. Can I see it? I mean, shit like that where he's just like, thank you, Eddie. That guy, hilarious. We could have a whole show about this movie. I don't want to go for hours about it, but if you have not seen this, immediately go watch it. And if you don't like it, we don't have to hang out.
And like one of my favorite flubs in a movie ever, my wife's got an ass in her cock. And like obviously like that wasn't in the script, but like Paul Thomas Anderson decided to keep it because, you know, William H. Macy's character is distraught, obviously. His wife is getting banged on a driveway. And it made it so authentic, man. And you know, speaking of authenticity, like the transition from the 70s into the 80s, I think that felt real. Like the costuming, the music choice, um, and I mean, like everything is a 10, man. The casting, the characterization, it's an ensemble cast. The story,
It gave me an appreciation for multiple, like John C. Reilly in this. Like it made me, before any comedy movie was ever out with this dude in it, it made you realize how much of a talent like that dude is. Cause he's not
yeah,
like he is a main character in it, but like he's amazing. It's everything.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows that scene, even if you haven't really. Do you like it, Dirk? Like, I'll take it back if you don't like it. You know, like that whole thing, like that scene, and even like Mark Wahlberg. People will talk shit about his acting ability and just some of the movie choices he makes, but this made me like such a huge fan of his, and he's perfect in this movie. You know, and I don't even think he likes this movie that much, which is astounding to me.
I think this is a great way of leaving his Marky Mark persona up behind. It kind of it made me forget about it for a moment. You know, I haven't completely forgotten about it, but like this was a good transition into serious acting. I think he had already done Basketball Diaries,
Yep.
and that was a good look for him too.
I think he did Fear too.
He also did Fear,
Yeah.
which happened before Boogie Nights, man. And you know, this was basically what did it for me when it came to Marky Mark. It's like, dude, I'm a fan.
I
And
mean, I've given you credit on this movie though, just like Jackie Brown. This was in your tape selection in our dorms, and we watched. I remember it because it was like one of those seminal like movie watching experiences. It's just like your mind's blown because it's so fucking good, and it's about porno, which I think is hilarious. But just like that also lends to almost some of the comedy in it because you watch them film these movies and you hear like Julianne Moore go, I think you have the job, but I just have to make sure of one other thing. This is a giant cock. Like, I mean, I can't explain it, but just if you watch it and you're in the right mood, it's just such a perfect movie. So shout out to everyone involved. A lot of like Burt Reynolds, even. Like, I feel like this is one of my favorite movies he ever did.
and he hated this movie when it first came out, man, which
Yeah.
is crazy because he got like a ton of accolades. He was nominated for Golden Globe, for the Oscars. I don't know if he won. He might have won for Golden Globe. But yeah, man, at first, because of the aesthetic of the movie, he didn't want to. He regret even signing up for it, man. And he turned down the offer like a couple of times before he actually agreed.
Thank God, though, because I mean, he's so good in it. This is a movie where I couldn't even like really recast it
You
because the
can't,
people
man.
nailed it too much. Like, even people like Don Cheadle in it, like he plays this insane character who's just beaten down the whole like humiliated, just kind of like hates himself, and like that donut shop scene. And
Yeah.
even the end of it, where you kind of see like them coming out in the 90s and stuff, like it's just this crazy. You see every character in this movie sort of gets like, you see their story sort of unfold, and it's not too much or too little of any one thing. It's just this perfect mix that just adds up to this weird movie that on paper should not work at all, but it's just so well done that it does.
You got the touch. You got
He
the
will rock you and he will roll you. Again, dude, that movie specifically, those parts where it's like the fake documentary or him like being that kind of like cocky, arrogant Dirk Diggler character,
yeah.
instructed me. That's like I wanted to the skits that I made and like things that I shot as like comedy skits were all sort of informed by like that. If I could make
Nice.
something, that's one of the things I would love to make. Just like a weird documentary about some weird guy like that. It's just so good, dude. I love that movie. I gotta go watch it tonight, I think.
With some little kung fu interludes in between,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, love that movie. 1999, Heroes of Wrestling airs on pay-per-view from Casino Magic at Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. And what a shit show. Like, this is a decade we love all the magical things. We got to share the highlights, but damn it, we have to share the lows. And wow, it was the lowest of lows, man. Heroes of
What
Wrestling.
was this?
This was an attempt to bring back the glory of the good old days and bring back some of these former stars and give them their glory. It had Iron Sheik, the Samoan SWAT team, Samu and Samoan Savage, Greg Valentine, George the Animal Steel,
Oh my
Nikolai
god.
Volkov,
In
Stan Lane
99?
in 99. Yes. But the main event, Matt, it was a makeshift, like audible of a main event they had was Jim the Anvil Neidhart versus Jake the Snake Roberts. And I'm sure you've seen clips from this because this is Jake at his lowest. He gives a drunk ass promo and it went something like, hey, you don't play cards with me because I'll cheat. Okay. You want to play 21? I've got 22. You want to play blackjack? I got two of those too. You want to play aces and eights, baby? I got too many of those too. Like, whoa. So that was the promo.
1 and 1 makes 3.
And when he comes out, he's like simulating sexual acts with the snake. He brings the snake out the bag and he puts it between his legs, and he looks so sloppy drunk, and he's sloppy built. And he's like, he takes the snake and he's like jacking the snake off. And there's kids in the audience. He's like,
Mom, shut up, you little bitch.
and this probably breaks the record for the most shirt wearing wrestling event because all these guys are like mid 40s at the youngest. I think the youngest person might have been Two Code Scorpio, But Jake the Snake comes out with his
What was
t-shirt.
he doing, Steve? Could he
Well,
still do the shit?
well, his match was actually the only decent match on the card, which isn't saying a lot. He fought Julio Fantastico, and this is supposed to be heroes of wrestling. No one's ever heard of Julio Fantastico. He's
Yeah.
not a hero, not a legend, but
What kind
yeah,
of Timu shit is that?
Jake the Snake comes out with his t-shirt. Halfway through the match, he goes to the back with his
Uh,
shirt off. He goes to the lady up front in the row and he takes her hands and like puts them on his breasticles and he's like, "Ah, yeah." And the lady at first she's like,
no!
"Uh," like,
Ew. Jake. Jake.
dude,
Julio
this is
Fantastico's in the corner puking his guts out. Oh my god.
oh,
Ugh.
and our guy Lou Albano, Captain Lou is there too to make it even shittier.
Blacked out too. I mean,
Oh,
Nikolai Volkov in 1999. I'd be shocked to see what that dude looked like because I mean, he wasn't looking too good in the early 90s, let alone 99, bro.
oh, bro,
All that
it's
vodka, I don't know.
this was a old man
Ew.
like wearing like the tidy whities for like trunks. Like, normal wrestlers, like trunks look like trunks. These look like draws. Like there's depends. Like they had to have something
It's
big
like a
enough to
little
flip them.
piss stain on the front because they
Yeah,
put their dick away too fast.
something big enough to fit the
Nikolai's got a
pins.
little pee stain. He's all right. Nope. He blacked out.
Yeah, and Nikolai Volkov, he teamed up with Iron Sheik, and they went up against the Men
Oh.
Down Under. You want to know who the Men Down Under were because of copyright infringement?
Was that the Bushwhackers, Steve? They were
Oh!
alive. Are they still alive?
One of them is still alive. He actually
Oh,
that
or
one
Lou.
Bushwhacker's the only like out of this whole match. Everybody else is gone, dead like disco. And at one point, Iron Sheik whips the Bushwhacker into the ropes. Doesn't even do a move. He just walks into him. He's just like, and the Bushwhacker falls down. It's so hard to watch, but watch it because it's so bad.
Yeah, that's like a bad horror movie, you know? Just get drunk and watch it and just laugh.
Oh, I forgot. So the main event became the main event because of Jake's like stumbleness, man. The main event was supposed to be King Kong Bundy and Yokozuna, but both of them had to come down to this match, Jake and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, because like they didn't know what Jake was going to do, so they just made it a tag team match. So now it's Yokozuna and Jake the Snake against Jim Neidhart and King Kong Bundy. Like they just walk out of there and just try to make some sense out of it. Like, oh my god,
Guys,
bro.
we're trying to figure this one out. A couple of these guys got damn Alzheimer's, so work with us, okay?
Yeah.
Amphetamines are rough, guys.
It was so bad, man. But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways?
I wanted to just because we had it on the list, and I remember it as a good movie, and I want to go back and watch it. But 7 Years in Tibet. Do you remember this movie at all with
I
Brad
actually
Pitt?
saw it in the theater. I was just watching the time.
Okay, well, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, I actually dug this movie as a youngster, and I remember they actually showed this in a film class because of the cinematography. It's just an interesting movie, and I do think it's based on a true story, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that, but just a shout. You should watch this. It's like a quality Brad Pitt movie, and it's like peak handsome for Brad Pitt for the ladies out there. Just look with those gold locks, Steve. Just looking, just virile. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit verklempt, a little
I,
bit.
I remember my aunt taking me to see this. I don't know, maybe because we couldn't go see Boogie Nights, but I was 14, and it just like why do we care about this man in Asia? But like I
Yeah,
remember it being interesting. For some reason, I remember lions being in the movie. Were there lions in the movie?
I just remember because Brad Pitt at some moment in this, because I think it's set during a war of some kind or something,
World War II.
and he's a mountain climber, I believe, and he's arrested for being someplace he shouldn't. So he escapes jail and is taken in and finds himself like where the Dalai Lama is in Tibet, I guess.
He
And
befriends the Dalai Lama, yeah.
yeah, and he sort of like teaches the Dalai Lama, who's a young child, about the East or the West, I'm sorry, and about like, stuff that he's not around. He's kind of like this strange character in this world because it's all these Asian people and Brad Pitt's like this statuesque dude with he's even like golden hair. That's like his his little nickname. But it's just one of those cool movies and something that I just think is cool that you don't really think about because when you think of the Dalai Lama, it's like this old man. He's this old wrinkly guy, but you never really think about like in the world like it's a kid at some point too. Like they're this thing that's installed that's they grow up and stuff. It's just very fascinating to me. And I dig this movie. It's really beautiful movie as an
The
adult. So
cinematography is good, yeah.
seeing it as a 14-year-old, I might not be my thing, especially if you're just going to the movies with your aunt. But as
Yeah.
an older person, it's just it's something I don't really think a lot of people like remember this like from the 90s. It's not one of those like classic movies everyone talks about, but it is a really good movie.
Yeah. Well, this week, man, once again, unfortunately, RIPs are in order. We lost Dikembe Mutombo over the week, the great number 55. Not in my house. One more
No,
time for Dikembe, man.
yeah, dude.
Like social pop cultural icon because I think he's one of those athletes in the 90s where people could kind of recognize him because of who he was and his catchphrase, the finger wag. You might have seen him in commercials. Maybe his popularity grew more in the 2000s when people became more accustomed to him. And so yeah, RIP to him. A gentle giant by all accounts, man. A lot of people, there was an outpour on social media of people who knew him, played with him, played against him, and not a bad word. Even throughout his career, never heard a bad thing said about the man. People are nicer to you when you pass, but like even when he was alive, when he was doing his thing, never heard any gripes with former teammates or anything, man. And he was doing a lot of like social work in his homeland, man, in Africa.
That's
I
what I was
think
going to say. He was also like a philanthropist, like, and did a lot, like, for just, I think it was social stuff, and it was like healthcare in the country. I don't remember
building
where he was from.
hospitals.
Yeah, stuff
I
like
think he's
that.
from the Congo.
Yeah, so he brought like a lot of. He used his fame for a good reason, and he was like sort of. I always attributed it because he just had like a really like fun name, like the
Yeah,
kids could like remember and stuff. But he did sort of eclipse just being a basketball player, which is weird because at the time it just wasn't really that big of a thing unless you were like a Michael Jordan or some shit like that.
where you can transcend the sport. Yeah,
Yeah,
man. Um,
yeah,
Another
that's
legend
crazy.
gone. But and also another Ohio legend, Pete Rose, man. In my opinion, the GOAT.
Put him in the
Unfortunately,
Hall of Fame now, please. He's
yeah.
dead. Okay.
And if you were going to do it, it should have been while he was alive, just like with Sid Justice, man. If you're going to do it, put it, give him his flowers while he's here. But I mean, the people who know, they know. Like he has a record that's probably not going to be beaten anytime soon. I think he played 22. I know he played 20 plus seasons, and you're not going to come across too many MLB players that are doing that in modern days. Like, they sprain their ankle. Oh, I think I need a half season. Oh,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
oh.
We're past that. People playing through it. You're not allowed. It's
This
it's
man,
wrong, actually, Steve. How dare you ask somebody to do that?
MVP, World Series champion, World Series MVP, Golden Glover. Um, I mean,
Fun guest on a talk show.
that great sense of humor, man. And he got chokeslammed by Kane. That's a little asterisk. That was like a routine thing they would do for WrestleMania. I think they did that for like 3 or 4 years straight, where he'd come out and Kane would choke slam him. So, he's
I
got a
love
sense of
that.
humor. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that, man. That just like solidifies his gangster. But R.I.P. to that legend. Go Hi-Yo. And also, man, we lost one of the best TV dads ever, John Amos. Most of his fame. A lot of people jumped to Good Times, or you could go to Coming to America, where he played Mr. McDowell. You know, They have the golden arches.
Dude.
What was it? We have the golden arcs or something like that. But
Hell
yeah,
yeah. I heard there was some like shenanigans like with his like the later in life with like I think his like wife and his family and stuff that Kendra was explaining to me.
because he actually passed away in August, and we're just now finding this out in October. So yeah,
Yeah.
there was definitely some shenanigans being had, man. I saw a picture on social media where a young lady, like younger than us, like she might be in her 20s, and this girl she's got a picture with John Amos, and she was like, "Yeah, like I left you out of breath that last time," or something like. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Damn, John.
Yeah, it was like a
Well, I
fine young
hope so for
sister.
his man, for that man. I mean, he should, dude. He should be. That's how he should go out. He's a
He
legend,
deserves it.
like Zeus.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
man.
That sucks though, dude. We're getting. It's really happening like with more regularity. I don't know if we're just it's just we're getting the announcements more, but it just seems like, especially in the last couple of months, it's like one day, every day, I'm hearing about some legend that I like that's just gone now. I hate this. I don't like getting old, Steve. It's happening.
Yeah. September was a tough month, man, for the obituaries. But
Fuck.
RIP to all those legends. And please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister, don't speak. She's a little douchebag. Check out Food Show Fanatics as well as Crushgasm every Wednesday with Kendra G. It's not Kendra B anymore, it's Kendra G. And our guy
Hear
Clark.
that? She's off the market, guys. Watch it. Sorry, Steve. Sorry. I blacked out.
And check out our guy, Clark the Shark. You gotta protect your woman. Yeah, I see lust in your eyes, Hogan. You lusting for my woman? Check out our guy, Clark the Shark, on Podcastle. This is Steve G and Matt G with
Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
Brother,